Oh my god, I cannot even believe I'm going to say this. They've released new MacBook Pros or refreshed MacBook Pros, 15 and some 13. And they're actually good value, dare I say even cheap. Did I just say that? So this comes with Windows 10 Home. What the, come on, let's get rid of that Windows Home. Let's get some Windows Pro. Copy and paste my code from the description. You can also get Office 2019. Just paste my code. Woof, it's Windows Pro time. Righto, tellyo there champs. Now let's have a look at these new MacBook Pros. I'm going to tell you everything you need to know, and I'm going to tell you the recommended configuration to buy, because I can tell you now you want to listen to this because I have some important information you need to know, especially if you're going to get the i9. There's two i9s. I'm going to tell you exact difference and why you should get the one I recommend. So anyway, Apple have released the new MacBook Pros with 8 cores, the 9th generation CPUs. They actually have released new 13 inches too. So the 13 inches get the 8th generation CPUs. Little bump in the graphics there. They're getting the Iris 655, where the previous ones had the Iris 640. So a little bit of a bump in the graphics there. Well, at least in name, I have no idea in testing. But let's stick to the 15 inch. So the first thing that's changed in these new MacBook Pros is the keyboard. They've apparently made the keyboard more robust. And what they've done is they've made the butterfly mechanism thicker. Now, we've heard it before, but that's what was happening. It wasn't just dust was getting in. It was actually the actual arms of the butterfly mechanism. They would break. They were too brittle. They were too fine. So they've beefed them up, so they're going to be thicker. And I do believe this will fix it, because that was the main problem. They were breaking, and all the other modifications they've made to it have really just been nothing. Add in, you know, rubber membrane to try and block out dust and all this. That's all rubbish. But now to actually change the mechanism, make it thicker, and also Apple have guaranteed if you ever have keyboard issues on any of these models, it's going to be fixed. Under warranty, no problem. So this new keyboard is going to be more robust. I guarantee that was the main problem. They've addressed the main problem now. So I doubt these butterfly mechanisms will be breaking anymore. And believe me, if you want to know about this 8-core MacBook Pro, you need to subscribe, because no one's going to test it like I do. Honestly, you need someone experienced in testing PC hardware to the ultimate limit there, and I'll tell you everything you need to know. 8 cores, 9th generations. If you don't know what these 9th generation CPUs are, I've got a little chart here because I've already made a video on this. So I was briefed by Intel for these 9th generation parts. And there you can see the old parts in the pink at the bottom, down there. And yeah, the new parts are here. Now, the two new main parts are the i9s. So you got two different versions of the i9s. Now they're both exactly the same. I'll get into my recommended configuration in a minute. The only difference is the base clock, 2.4 on the unlocked version, so the 9980HK 2.4, and the i9 below that, the 9880H, has a 2.3 clock, and the turbo boost is different. On the HK model you have 5 GHz, on the H model you have 4.8. Same amount of cache, same thermal design, and the only other difference is the HK is unlocked, which is not even important for Macs because you're not going to be overclocking. Now, one thing I thought I'd never say is they're actually good value, because look at this, $2,799 for the 9th generation 8-core CPU. That is a good value, and I'll tell you why this is a good value. $2,800, all right, you get the Radeon graphics, the Radeon Pro, you don't get the Vega graphics. You only get 16 versus, you know, the competition at this sort of price will probably have 32, and you only get 512 versus probably 1 terabyte with the competition. But there's no other i9, well, certainly with the 8-core ones, but even with the older i9s, there's no other laptop at this price with the i9. There's none other. I'll just show you Dell's, for example. So if we look at Dell's current offering, and do not buy one of these now, these Dell's, because the new one's coming out like in a couple of weeks, and then we'll have the 8-core i9, the 9th generation. But the 8th generation, let's have a look. Now this is on special because they're clearing them for the new models. But the price here is $2,909. All right, so you compare that to the Mac, it's actually cheaper. Now you do get, as I said before, 32 gigs and 1 terabyte SSD, and you get a better graphics card. But still, I will say, currently as it stands, this is probably the cheapest i9 laptop you're going to get. You compare it to other ones, I don't think you're going to get an i9 cheaper. Now, what happens is, when you upgrade them, the price goes absolutely crazy. But I think it's a good value, 16 gigs, 512, and yeah, that Radeon is pretty good. If you want to know the difference between the Radeon and the Vega, in Premiere Pro, the Radeon graphics, I had to play the 4K content back at half. With the Vega, I can play it back at full. That's the sort of difference there. There is difference in render times. I do have videos on this. But anyway, but once you upgrade it, say for example, I add the Vega, and then I add the 1TB SSD, and then I add the RAM, yeah, there's where the price goes crazy. And then, yes, the Dell will be $1,000 cheaper, or even more than $1,000 cheaper. But at its base price, that's good. Now, as you can see here, you have two i9 options. When I was briefed by Intel, they told me that this HK processor, which this one is the HK, that's the add $200, and this one is the H version, the top one, which is the standard one. Intel told me that the HK is only for muscle books, because only muscle books will be able to get the most out of that. If you don't know what a muscle book is, that's the big, thick gaming laptops. So this 5 GHz here, it's really just marketing. As I told you, it's just the difference in frequency 4.8, 5.0. These frequencies, you'll never reach them because these frequencies have an asterisk. It's like, has to be single thread, has to be one core, and the CPU temperature has to be under 50 degrees or whatever. So previous to this, the previous i9 would boost to 4.8 as well, okay? That would do 4.8, but again, had to be single core and it had to be under 50 degrees to get there. So it never ever boosted to 4.8 because it could never do it. 4.6 was its max because it's never under 50 degrees. That's the same here. This MacBook Pro and this thermal envelope is never going to be under 50 degrees. So it's going to be impossible to achieve these 5 GHz and 4.8. Maybe if you stick it in a freezer, yeah, maybe you'll get those sort of things, but it has to be single thread as well. So forget about these. These are single core, like single thread boost clocks, okay? These will boost pretty much exactly the same. When you're hitting all 8 coils at once, these will boost at exactly the same, and even single threaded, given that it's not going to really be under 50 degrees, yeah, there won't be any difference at all, except in spec. So this is more for marketing, I would say, to say, hey, we've got the 5 GHz. They shouldn't even be having these in these thin and light laptops. These 5 GHz ones, the HK unlock parts, should only be in muscle books. And you'll see that a lot of PC manufacturers, they won't even touch this, even with their better cooling than a MacBook Pro. So I definitely recommend you get this one. This is the important one I'm going to tell you. Save yourself $200. Get the 4.8 because there's going to be no difference. You're going to benchmark, I guarantee there's going to be no difference. It's not going to be hitting 5 GHz. So yeah, that's important to know. And even if we look in Australia at Australian prices, you know, $4,099. There's no i9 in Australia. If we have a look at Dell, yeah, look at that. $4,998 for the i9. You can actually get it for $4,248 now, which is basically they're clearing these out and the new models are coming out in a couple of weeks. So as I said, don't buy that. But this list price here, which it does sell for that price, is $5,000. I actually paid $4,000 for it. So when Apple released their MacBook Pros with the i9, they put the price up sky high. It was an aftermarket option, it was like $400 or whatever it was. And every PC manufacturer lifted their price too, because these started at $4,000. Now they're $5,000, an extra $1,000, and that's because of the prices that Apple were charging. But now, hopefully this has a knock-on effect where all the i9s will have to reduce in price now. If you're now buying an i9 in Australia for $4,099, the price of the Dell will have to come down too, because yeah, they're not going to be able to charge what Apple charged. So that means I honestly expect the i9 to be even cheaper for the XPS 15. Of course, you get the 32 gigs RAM, you get the 1TB SSD, you get a better graphics card, and yeah, once you add those things on, this is still more expensive. But usually Dell's price, from what I can tell, is based on the Mac price. They just try and make it that $1,000 cheaper for the same sort of spec. And if they're coming out here with $4,099, I don't think Dell can start charging more for an i9. They're going to have to reduce this price, hopefully back down to the $4,000, where it's now $5,000. Hopefully that happens. Competition is good. I can't believe I'm saying it. That base model Mac is good value. It's good value, yes. As you can see here, the price is absolutely nuts once you add on things, but yeah, go back to its base configuration and you're getting a decent value laptop. That's decent value. i9, 8 cores. Yeah, let me know what you guys think. Are you excited for this? Now, as I said, I'm going to test this out. And should you upgrade or anything with the 8 core, well, they're probably bringing out a new 16-inch with the bezels deleted. Will they bring it out at WWDC? I doubt it. Seeing as they've refreshed this, I doubt they're going to release one in a couple of weeks' time. Maybe at the end of the year. Yeah, just be careful buying this because Apple could drop an update at any time without notice. And then, yeah, you spend all this money and you can get screwed. That's no problem there. They've done it before. But in terms of what performance increases we can see from this to the last model, the 6-core model, well, it's all going to depend on your workload, me. You know I'm going to slam these things, so make sure you subscribe to see that. But generally speaking, in my workflow, I don't think 8 cores is going to make much difference because most of the time when I edit in Premiere Pro or even Final Cut, mostly using hardware encoding, quick sync, so I'm not using all cores at once. So really it's only going to benefit you if you use all cores at once. So what you want to do is just go in Activity Monitor, look when you render, look when you're video editing, look when you're doing whatever you're doing, check the activity. If you're not using all cores at once when you're rendering, probably stick with the current one. It's not going to give you any performance increase other than, yes, all right, the clocks it'll be more efficient. These 9th generation CPUs are more efficient. Check out my video where I compare the 9th to the 8th generation CPUs. Watt for watt, clock for clock, they are more efficient. So yeah. Anyway, catch you in the next one, guys. Tally ho.